Hi and welcome in. I'm Go Dave and I am a Go streamer on Twitch, as well as a German championship contender and a Go teacher, and since recently, Go YouTuber. In this video, I will present to you my top 5 tools I use to improve. So this is by no means a complete list, nor do I claim that these are the only tools you should use, but maybe there's something in there that will inspire you. First up is a core tool in my improvement, which shows how I review and learn from my games. So 5 years ago, I was looking for a way to improve my Go in a more organized and trackable fashion. And what I came up with was to review my games with AI and then take screenshots of all the mistakes I could find. And the mistakes that appeared more often, I would claim to be my main problem and work on those until another problem arose as the most problematic. Nowadays, I do it in a more selected way, but the principle stays the same. So, for example, here I have a database I bluntly called Greed, and some sub databases of it, but mainly I take screenshots, and in the title of this screenshot, I describe what I did wrong and what I should have done instead, and learn from that. And a big advantage of this is not only finding out what you do wrong, you can also track if you did something better than in the past. And for me personally, the big way this changed my way of improving was that I actually started playing in the first place, because my whole mindset shifted from I need to play to win or something to I play to get more material I can learn from. So I played to learn, and that made me enormously more motivated and driven to play and learn. Solving Tsumego is certainly a very big part of my Go improvement, and my number one source is without a doubt 108G. It's a Chinese website with well over 100,000 problems and multiple ways to do them. The ones I mainly use is Guan, Book, Task, and Star. In Guan, you can click a certain level and it will give you 10 problems with 45 seconds time limit for each. And if you get 8 out of 10 or more correct, you unlock the next level. For example, you can see grayed out is 5 done, so I haven't unlocked that yet. It's great if you have a competitive mind, so try that out. Another one is Book, which is maybe self-explanatory, but it has a multitude of collections. They are all sorted by difficulty. Personally, I currently use the ones mentioned in an old post about how to get to Taijin 8 done, which is funny because I just recently got to 8 done. and you can click those links too. By the way, all of these links I will give you in the description below. Another way you can sort the books is you can also favorite them, so by the book star. Next up, we have task. You can see the task I have done so far. There you can create, not unlike Guan, but there you can create more specifically your own sets. For example, I have 3Q practice or daily 4 done. If you create a new one, you can see you can select how you want to call it, how many problems you want to solve, up to 475, a certain theme only, and also the time limit, and if you want 1 or 2 tries. So that's a very useful tool. And lastly, and the most used tools for me is Star, which is where you can favorite single problems with, I don't think, any limit, because at least the limit is below 1800. And I personally use it for marking problems I got wrong and I want to repeat later. Beyond that, there's also, for example, Spec, where you have Tsumego or Tesuchi sorted by theme. For example, the marked one here is only Tesuchi that are descent to the first line. So there you can maybe train your intuition and pattern knowledge with those. They are also sorted by difficulty. And lastly, on one-on-one Weiqi, you can also select them by difficulty, just in general, or by board size on this question lib and more. Um, Beyond one-on-one Weiqi, I've used Tsumego Hero a lot in the past. It's a very ever-growing collection of different problems. The one I come back to every now and then is the rules of capturing rays, which if you have problems with reading out semii quickly, I can very much recommend this one. So why is Excel a tool for improvement, you might ask? Well, in my opinion, to improve, it's very useful to keep track of your progress. And to keep track of your progress, it's very useful to keep track of what you've been doing and for how long and how exactly you did it. So that you can know what works for you and what maybe you need to change up. Personally, I keep track of the games I've played and the time settings. I mark in red what were serious training games that I also usually stream. So in a way, you can also see right now here my next training games and my next tournament. I keep track of my Tsumego, very specifically also how many of the Guan I solved correctly or the homework. And thirdly, I keep track of the game reviews I did. So it's not just that I played a game and then I assume that I reviewed it. I actually take the time extra on another day to review them, as I mentioned in the first tool. And lastly, I have one for study, keep track of my study. Recently, mainly just program second half study for some end game. But yeah, besides this being very useful to keep track of what you've been doing, it's also a very good tool to keep you motivated because, well, look at this wall of done Tsumego days, and having this makes it a lot more motivating to keep going. Studying pro games can be a good way to improve your Go, and I personally mainly use the following three websites. The first one is Go4Go, where you can sort through games by very different means. For example, you can browse by date, where you can also see the position after 30 moves, so you can maybe recognize the game, and you can also see if you already looked at the game. Or you can search by player, you can even search by matchup, which can be really practical. But you can also see like league standings and tournament standings with a score chart here. And beyond that, even look at information for different tournaments here. The second one I use is, well, you can't see it fully, but links will be in the description. The Go News site here. You can sort by world and by Japan and Korea and by all of these different tournaments. And for me, what is very appealing from this side is, for example, if you go on the Kisei side, that you can very easily see all the results here listed, and you can also click on these results and download the SGF, which is very useful if you want to use them and upload them for your own study, like I do with my endgame study, for example. And lastly, which I've not been using too much recently, but a lot more in the past, is Authorities Go pattern search, where you can, well, either you can just look for a local situation and maybe study some Joseki and look how the pros played that, or you can see the total situation and maybe study pro games that use the opening you like to play and see how pros usually like to play this out. So I think these three sites are very useful tools. Last but by no means least is a lively Go community. For me, that has been Open Study Room for more than half a decade now. Back then, in end of 2017. Before I joined it, I had barely played any in real life tournaments, so I didn't know a lot of people who played Go. And I also had a few online friends, but they were quite scattered. But when I joined the Discord of Open Study Room, I suddenly had a whole bunch of people I could talk to, discuss Go with, play and compete with all day, every day. And that basically hasn't changed until this day. They have a league system, as you can see here, where you have the monthly league, a major league, which now runs for 3 months, Dan and TDQ leagues. They also recently have a new professional on board, which you might know as Go Inside on YouTube. And personally, I started in Open Study Room as a simple member, quickly became a multiple time champion, then a teamer, and now I am part of a teacher team on OSR. So if you are still looking for a teacher, shameless plug, you can find all the information you need on this page, including how to contact me, or you can look at the teacher pages of other teachers, of course. I hope you could take away something from this video, which for now was just a very broad overview of the tools you could use to improve. In the future, I plan to make a lot more videos about how to specifically use the tools and what methods to use, as well as some other subject like the mental side of the game. If you're interested in some of those specifically, let me know in the comments. For now, thank you very much for watching and have a great one.